Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I've got the Canon 24 to 105 f4 lens. This thing's super durable. Okay, I'm just kidding. This is actually a fake coffee cup that my family tried to trick me with over Christmas and gave me as a gift, but it's actually really cool. It's a cool replica of the 24 to 105. Okay, this is the real Canon 24 to 105 f4 lens, and I have mixed feelings about this lens. In some ways, I think that it's a very good lens, but in some ways, it leaves a little bit to be desired. One of the cool things about this lens is that you can get it as a quote-unquote kit lens with your full-frame Canon cameras like the 6D and the 5D Mark III. I wish that Canon would offer this as an upgrade with things like the 7D Mark II and some of those other crop sensor cameras, because it is a lot better kit lens than what they currently offer. For example, right now I have the 28 to, I think it's 135 millimeter kit lens on the camera that I'm shooting with right now. It came with my Canon 7D, and that's an absolute piece of junk lens. I wish that they would offer this as an upgrade. Obviously, the big benefit to this lens is the focal range. At 24 millimeters on a full frame camera, that gives you a nice wide angle of view, and at 105 it gives you a short telephoto lens, and it's a big benefit to be able to have that kind of reach. It gives you an extra 35 millimeters of zooming reach above a 24 to 70, which is very popular. So for that reason, it is a very attractive option. One of the other great things about this lens is that it has image stabilization. That's something you won't find on Canon's, for example, their 24 to 70 f2.8 lens. That's not an option. You've got to either go with the Tamron 24 to 70, or if you go with the Canon 24 to 70 f4, you can get the image stabilization. And it's a nice feature to have, and it works very well on this lens. The thing about this lens is the price. It's relatively reasonably priced compared to some of Canon's other offerings. This lens also has a macro designation on it. Even though it's not a true macro lens, it is nice to be able to get some uptight and close shots of small objects when you need to. So the reason why I have mixed feelings about this lens is because I would not use this lens very much for my professional work, although it does come in handy at times to be able to have that additional focal range. Even though I've read some reviews where they say that this lens is incredibly sharp, I just have to disagree. I think that it's a little bit soft and it leaves a little bit to be desired. Now, that's not to say it's a poor quality lens. It's just not as sharp, in my opinion, as a 24 to 70. But I have seen people who've done imaging tests and they claim that it actually outperforms the 24 to 70, which is very, very surprising to me. Now, I haven't set up test charts to actually test the two, but to my eye, this lens looks a little bit soft. The other drawback to this is that it is an f4. Now, it's an f4 constant aperture, which is a good thing, and it does allow a fair amount of light to come in, but it doesn't let as much light as an f2.8, which is something that you might need, because I think a lot of people who are interested in this type of lens are people who are doing things like event photography, weddings, things like that, and they're going to be shooting in low light situations and they're going to need that extra stop of light. But you do have the image stabilization built into this, which comes in very, very handy in those low light situations. So all in all, if you're just starting out and you're getting a full frame camera, and you can get this, you know, at a discounted price, because when you buy your camera and you get the lens with it, you get the lens even cheaper than what you would get it if you bought it as a standalone lens. I think it's a very good option for people to buy. It is a very versatile lens. It's one of those lenses that does a lot of things very good. It just doesn't do anything great. And for that reason, I don't plan on actually buying this lens. I borrowed it. As I have said before, I am a freeloader, and so whenever I can borrow stuff, I borrow it all the time, and that's what I did this week. I borrowed this to try it out. The main thing that I would see myself using this for, even though I did use it for a little bit of professional work this weekend, and the results weren't great, but they weren't bad either. But the thing that I would use this for, and the reason why I borrowed this lens, was for vacation. I think it's a great vacation lens because, you know, when you're on vacation, you don't want to carry a lot of gear with you. You want to have one lens, and having that ability to shoot wide and have the short telephoto, it was a big benefit for me, and that's the reason why I wanted this lens. So for those of you who are just starting out, I highly recommend this lens. I think it's a great lens at a great price for you for that situation. For those of you who are professionals, I think you're probably going to be more interested in getting a 24 to 70 and just carrying a second lens like a 70 to 200 to be able to fill that zoom gap. I just don't think that this lens quite delivers the quality that you require. Now, The autofocus on this is very fast and accurate, which I would guess I was kind of surprised about. The only time that I did run into problems with the autofocus was when I was shooting at the wide end. It did seem to have a little bit of a problem whenever subjects were close to me. I was shooting at a swim meet and there wasn't a lot of room to move around, and sometimes I was trying to shoot really wide shots to get people all framed into the shot at the same time, and there wasn't a lot of distance between us, even though I was more than the minimum focusing distance. And the camera struggled, or the lens struggled a little bit to lock on focus. It did, but it just struggled a little bit to do that. The only other complaint that I have about it, I think that the zoom ring and the focus ring on it are very smooth. I actually really like the way that these move. It feels very fluid. But when you're zooming, the initial zoom, when you go from 24 to about 35, 40 millimeters, it happens very, very quick. And I don't like that because it's difficult, or not difficult, but I end up zooming past what I want to zoom for. And then once you get past about 35, 45 millimeters, it slows down and becomes a much more fluid zooming motion. So it's a little quick on the beginning. Maybe that's nitpicking, but that was something that I did find to be a little bit frustrating. But other than that, like I said, if you're a beginner just starting out, or you just need a super versatile lens, I think this is the way to go. If you're a pro, I really think that you need to stick with the 24-70 and then have a second lens to fill in that focal gap. So hopefully that answers some questions for you guys. If you guys have any more questions, leave me a comment below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.